Hello, sixth grade. Just to let you know, I know many of you have been worried about my bangs because I need a haircut. I mentioned it yesterday. I have my hat on, so we're good to go now. I know you were worried about it. Okay, no, not really. All right, so today we are doing activity/reading 5.2. Because we just finished up a reading assignment, I didn't want to do another reading assignment. And so I turned the reading passage into a lesson. So when it says RA, it's for reading activity 5.2. And you will be answering some questions at the end, but we're going to go through this together like a regular lesson. So the lesson today is it's called the Fisherman's Journal. Okay, so we're going to find out what's going on with that. All right, so today is Wednesday, May 6th. Our agenda is your bell work question, then this video lesson, and then the reading activity questions from 5.2. Reminders, assignments must be turned into count for attendance. Just to review, because I still have quite a few people, when you turn in an assignment and redo it down here, don't tell me down here that you did it. I cannot check all of these notifications every day. It's just not feasible. Come up here to where it says late redo work notifications for fourth term. Okay, then write your name, the date the assignment was given, and the title of the assignment. Okay, so for example, I have Rory Porter. She missed the one on March 31st, and the assignment was called 331 assignment. That was the one on the marshmallows, okay? So if you do this, then I can come in, update your grades. You are happy. Your mom and dads are happy. I'm happy. It's a happy, happy thing. So please make sure that you're marking that there. All right, so daily work, your bell work, and the activity questions do need to be done by tonight, by midnight. By the end of this lesson, you'll know how can organisms affect other organisms in an environment, okay? And how can one change in a food web impact an ecosystem? So we talked about food webs yesterday and how a food web is how the environment reacts to one another. So food chain, just to review, is when you have one thing eating one thing, then another thing eats that thing. So you have like the grass, the cow, the human. That's a food chain. But a food web includes all the things that eat the grass. So the deer, the chickens, the birds, believe it or not, birds do eat grass. The cow, the sheep, okay? What about wild animals that are doing that? So the deer. And then you have all the things that interact with those things. And so it's all tangled up like a web, okay, which is much more realistic, okay? So how can one change in a food web impact an ecosystem? All right, so at the beginning of this unit, we looked at this graph itself, okay? And it is wish I could make that go away, sorry. All right, so it is the trout population data for decades going from 1930 to 2000. Okay, so 70 years worth. And you can see right here, about 73, it just plummets. And it starts going down over here. And it takes 20 years for this to really drop down to where it was a huge, huge problem. Okay, so today we're going to be talking about what happened here. Okay, what started to happen here, what happened, and how they found out about it, and what they did to start to make it recover. All right, so this is my friend. Okay, not really. He's just a cool fisherman I saw, but he's holding what is a lake trout. Okay, this is the size of the trout that are in the Great Lakes. They're huge. They can be 30 pounds. Okay, and beautiful fish. And they would sell them. You would have commercial fishing trawlers that would go out and they would catch the fish and then they would sell them. So this was their business. This was their job. Okay, and so this is my friend, quote unquote, Ron Coleman. And he is a Lake Michigan fisherman. And he was going out, and we're going to look at his journal entries from 1938. He looks good for 1938, doesn't he? Okay, just kidding. I wanted you to see a fish, and it made it more interesting. Okay, so Journey from Ron Coleman, our Lake Michigan fisherman, Saturday, September 15th, 1938. Today's catch was much smaller than usual again. I don't understand why I keep having this bad luck this year. I remember coming to this same spot last year and catching twice as many trout every day. And even if I do manage to get a good catch, some of the fish are showing up with these strange wounds on the sides of their bodies. The wounds are mainly showing up on the big fish like lake trout and salmon, which I can sell for the most money. All right, so this is a real journal according to the iQuest people. So he's noticing there's a problem. He's going to the same place to fish that he fished in years past, and he's not getting hardly at all. And the fish he is catching, they're coming up with these weird wounds on the sides of their bodies. Okay, so now here we got some questions. Number one, what's going on with the fish? Is the organism responding to another organism? I don't know. Is their environment changing? I don't know. I don't have enough information to even make a guess right now. All I know from Ron's journal is that the wounds are showing up on the bigger fish, and there's not very many of them. Okay, I don't know what's making the wounds, and I don't know what they look like. Let's see what happens on the next one. The wounds are so painful looking that I wonder how the fish are able to survive. The wounds are usually the size and shape of a quarter or a little bigger, and it looks like the fish lost a lot of blood. Poor fish. The wound usually has a hole in the middle of it, like something drilled a hole through the side of the fish. The wounds make the fish useless to me because nobody is going to buy a fish with that kind of hole on its body. I have no idea what kind of animal in the Great Lakes could have caused this type of wound, but it's sure not like anything I've seen before. Okay, so is it the trout? Are the trout eating each other? Probably not. Does it have to do with the food that the trout are eating? Probably not. Okay. Does it have to do with their reproduction? Not seeing any signs of that. They're getting these great big huge wounds like something poked a hole through them. Okay. And they're losing a lot of blood. So definitely there is a problem, but I don't think it's with the trout themselves. I don't think it's with their food sources. And I don't think it's with their reproductive systems. So let's see what we get next. Here's a picture that Ron sent me of these great big huge wounds. So these wounds are about the size of a quarter to give you some scale. And you can see it goes right down into the poor fish. Poor fish. And Ron's right. No one wants to buy that kind of a fish to eat. We don't know what's making those kinds of wounds. Page 3. Trout are large fish and can weigh as much as 10 pounds and be 27 inches long. I wonder if they have moved to a colder, deeper water for some reason. Okay, so whoa. We've looked at this type of thing before. Did the fish need a different environment? Okay, let's see. These fish live for a long time, up to 8 years, so there must be a reason there are so few of them this year. There seems to be plenty of the food that the trout like to eat, like insects and other fish. Bam, right there, evidence. Okay, is it the food that's affecting the trout? Okay. Page 4. This is the last of the journal pages. I've heard some of the other fishermen talking about this fish called the sea lamprey that is causing a lot of trouble in Lake Michigan for the trout and other big fish. Of course, that means it's causing a lot of trouble for us fishermen too. I've never seen a sea lamprey before, but I'm curious about what it looks like. If it can do this kind of damage to a fish and still not kill it every time. I hope I can still feed my family this year after all the bad luck I've been having. All right, so we know it's not their food. We know it's not their reproduction. We know it's not their original environment. Something new has come into it. How do I know it's something new? Okay, my friend Ron, he is a fisherman. He's never heard of this fish before. He fishes here for a living. Do you think that he would be an expert in knowing what fish are in those waters? Okay, think about it. All right, so what new questions and observations do we now have about the trout mystery? Okay, So I put up some questions for you to think on, and you're going to be answering them based on the stuff in the reading or the journal pages that we just went through. Okay, and your own brain power. Brain power. Okay, is the problem related to what food the trout need? Is the problem related to what shelter the trout need? Their own environment. Okay, in the reading today, the reading yesterday, with the puffins, it's like the algae was moving more north because the water was getting too warm. Is that related to something similar to this? Did the trout want to leave? Is their food source leaving? Is that what's causing these big wounds and that there's no fish? Has something new come into the trout's environment? Okay. So my friend Ron was telling us about how there's this new fish he's never heard of called a sea lamprey. Maybe you could look it up and tell me what you find out about it. Okay, how many trout are being affected? Is it enough to impact the trout population? Okay, what evidence back in Ron's journal can you find to answer that question? All right, so your assignment today is you have some questions here to answer. There are a few that are short answers, so I will be correcting them. So don't panic when you don't get a score that you like. Okay, some of them are multiple choice and some of them are long answer, so you need to have me do it. If you would like to revisit the reading instead of watching this video over again, I attached it to the dates, and it literally is just mostly the journal entries that we just looked at. Okay, and a few places to write questions. Don't write your questions here. Your questions go on this one. Okay. All right. Now, tomorrow we are going to continue this discussion and this lesson, and I need to know what what answers you are coming up with to put into the lesson for tomorrow. So make sure you do your work today. All right. I hope you guys have a great day, and I will talk to you tomorrow.